Well, good afternoon to you, Flo, and to the viewers at home. Of course, the president did arrive just after 4 an hour ago to his parliamentary house at Tainis. He stayed there a short while, and I do believe now his motorcade has since left when he's expected back just before 7 when he delivers his 5th State of the Nation address to the nation. Of course, as things stand now, a different picture to what we used to. You can swear that it's only the media and the police that were invited to this SONA 2021. But of course, this has been necessitated by health protocols that are in line with fighting COVID-19. Of course, as you've said in your intro, only about 50 people will be allowed in the chamber, and that includes about 30 members of parliament from all the political parties. Of course, the major parties that will have more members in the House include the ANC is going to be having about 14 members, both from the National Assembly as well as members of the National Council of Provinces, as well as the DA with 5 members, and again members from both the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces. Of course, what's interesting is that there has been a confirmation that the third biggest party in the House, as well as the National Council of Provinces, the Economic Freedom Fighters, will not be joining, or at least will not be having members who will be physically present in the joint sitting, but would rather join the sitting virtually. Flo?
Yeah. Bulelani, I mean, as a parliamentary reporter, you're very much used to the goings-on of Parliament in and around Parliament, and also, of course, the work of not just yourself but other reporters and correspondents around Parliament. How will you be conducting your work this time around? I mean, I would imagine we are obviously not the only media house that's there at this time, but there has to be a lot of sort of social distancing, a lot of adherence to the protocols, COVID-19, all of that. And I'm just wondering how exactly things have been running in terms of your own reporting as you report from the parliamentary precinct this afternoon.
Well, Flo, in line with COVID-19 regulations, again in early last year, Parliament took the decision that all its meetings would be held virtually, and from that time up until now, those meetings are still continuing to be held virtually, and members connect through their devices. And what's interesting is that they do experience some of the daily challenges that people have. Just yesterday, when there was load shedding, some of the MPs could not log into a meeting because the areas that they were phoning from, or they were going to log in from, were also affected by load shedding. So they get a sense of the feeling that some of the people get in their daily lives. And of course, a moment like this, a State of the Nation address, is a moment for these MPs to be able to actually speak to the leadership, in particular the ruling party, about the issues that affect people on a daily basis. Of course, the president comes into this State of the Nation address, I'm sure knowing full well that the political heat in the country is rising up, just like today's weather, and I'm sure he's fully aware that political parties are indifferent to some of the decisions that he's taken, or the lack of decisions that is taken, in particular around the issue of fixing the country's energy generation capacity, also the issue of trying to deal with the ailing economy, and lastly, the biggest elephant in the room today would be how the country moves forward in terms of the rollout of the COVID-19 vaccines.
Yeah. Well, Bulelani, of course, when we started a conversation, you spoke about the fact that things are so different this time around, and I really want to talk about what's expected, in Parliament today. I mean, apart from the fact that there will be just 50 people in the House, I'm also hearing about a light or candle ceremony of some sort, I suppose, in honor of those who lost their lives due to COVID-19. And then we're also, instead of a praise singer, I hear there will be a poet. So there are really quite a few changes, a lot of things that are different to what is expected. What more do you have for us that you can tell us about? What are the other sort of expectations for today?
Yes, Flo, that's indeed correct, that the program has been drastically reduced in order to ensure that there is a social distancing and that people are actually observing the health protocols. One of the issues then, of course, that has been done is to ensure that they remove all the pomp and ceremony from the program. If I was talking to you at this time last year, we would probably be on the tail end of that red carpet parade, and people would be starting to make their way into the House, into the National Assembly. But today, things are different. People are still milling around because of the limited number of people that have to make their way into the House. Of course, I've spotted a few members of Parliament who are also part and parcel of the journalist crew that are outside here, who will have to be in the House at 6 o'clock this evening, compared to last year where they have to be in by 4 o'clock. The other thing is that we don't see any of the brass bands that are normally playing out here in front of the precinct of Parliament. Also, that effect or that part of the State of the Nation address has been taken away. But what has been reintroduced this year, given the outbreak of this pandemic, is that the president, prior to him entering the National Assembly, he's going to take a moment to reflect on the lives lost during this pandemic outbreak since early last year. And of course, is going to be together with the Speaker of the National Assembly, Ms. Thandi Modise, as well as the Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, Mr. Amos Masondo, will take a moment to light a candle in remembrance of all of those people who actually passed away as a result of this pandemic. Of course, the other element that has been included in this year's State of the Nation address is that there will be a recorded poem by a poet that will be played during that process when the president actually lights those candles. That's when then that procession, that mini procession, if I may say so, will then begin to enter the House, and that's when proceedings, the formal proceedings, are actually expected to go underway at 7 o'clock.
All right, Bulelani, let me let you go. You have 1 hour and 48 minutes until the president does indeed get started with his address. So we'll certainly be catching up with you at a later stage. Thank you very much, Bulelani, for us in Cape Town, just outside Parliament.